Batman and Robin is a 1998 film, the fourth film in the Batman motion picture anthology, and it's agonizing, undignified death of the series. Yeah, I mean, most people agree that this is a bad movie, and it's definitely appeared on a lot of worst movies of all time, worst superhero sequels of all time, worst movies in general, kinds of lists. Um, pretty pretty universally hated, I would say, and an unfortunate far cry from where the series began, where the 1989 film from Tim Burton was trying to be something more than a campy, cartoony comedy, and just a span of not even a decade. That's exactly where it winds up here. How sad is that? Um, and of course, I mean, Joel Schumacher has been pretty candid about the film, and kind of in so many ways has apologized for the film, and it takes the credit for it, in being as disappointing as it is. And with all the hate that it gets, I mean, as someone like me personally, someone who really enjoys Batman Forever, uh, I, I can definitely see the differences between Batman Forever and this film, where I think a lot of people, they'll lump the two Schumachers together, I think, which is a little bit unfair, because I do think Batman Forever, it is a superior movie, and it's a much better movie, and it's a lot more interested in its characters than this film is, which has pretty much no interest other than being toyetic, as Schumacher often cites the film. Its intention with the producers being, we want this to be more toyetic, sell some toys and stuff like that. Even the cast has been like, yeah, we felt like we're not really filming a movie but a toy commercial, which it's all fair enough. So it's definitely something that's much different than Batman Forever, though I mean it has similar things about it. But with this one, a lot of the style, it just goes way too over the top. Where I felt that Batman Forever had an interesting aesthetic to it, and an engaging aesthetic to it. This one goes way over the top with the neon lights and all the loudness on screen, basically, where it's too much. It's almost incomprehensible of what you're saying. I mean, like, one scene could be taking place in the museum in the film's opening sequence, and another could be taking place at this big event, this charity fundraising event. All the sets look the same, and it's too busy on the screen, and it's hard to follow a lot of the action, and stuff like that. And some of the action is it's quite ridiculous, and just gravity defying jumps, and people getting thrown, and silly sound effects, and of course all the humor that's injected into the film, the zany kind of one-liners, all that kind of stuff, which it's where Batman Forever, it felt like it was kind of this good modern mix between sort of the spirit of the 60s film, and a more modern kind of take that we saw in the Burton film. This one feels more like completely uh, spirited in the same vein as the 60s show, with the over the top villains of the week, and the silly jokes, and stupid lines, and all that, which is quite annoying. So I mean, there's a lot to dislike about the film, but I mean, if I can touch briefly upon what I do like about the movie, which won't take long, I guess. I do like that in this movie, kind of like the central drive of it, at least with the Batman character, is in his relationship with Alfred, once again being played by Michael Goff in the Alfred role, who's done all four of the original movies as the character, and it focuses on that relationship a little bit, instead of once again kind of doing the whole my parents are dead and I'm very sad kind of thing. It kind of illuminates this bond between the two where we see some flashbacks here and there, like with appearing in front of Bruce's eyes in Wayne Manor, of say something like him running in the hall and tripping, and Alfred coming to help him, and visiting the parents' grave, and Alfred reading to him, and that whole aspect of the relationship, which I thought was quite nice. I mean, it is a really endearing relationship between the two that oftentimes it gets put aside for some other business within these kinds of movies. Which I mean, I definitely think the films to follow, the Nolan films, I thought they got a pretty good relationship here, and but with this film, Batman and Robin, I'd say it's one of the highlights. I mean, it is like with any part of this movie, which is few and far between, where it actually feels like characters are having a real conversation instead of just shooting out this mile per minute gag line kind of stuff is kind of precious, and you gotta hold on to it as much as you can, I guess. So there's good stuff between the character, like how Bruce, he is struggling with being able to maintain this partnership with Robin, not being able to trust him, being a little bit too pig-headed, as he puts it, my way or the highway. He's like, "Would you think I'm like that, Alfred?" He's like, "Oh yes, absolutely, sir." And he kind of explains to him that this this mission in his life, in becoming Batman after the terrible tragedy of losing his parents against crime, it's his way in being Batman. It's just this unattainable goal of trying to control all of the chaos in the world and trying to control death itself, which he can't do. It's an impossible thing to do, and that, I think that's pretty hard hitting criticism from Alfred, who's done nothing but kind of watch over him all this time, and kind of observe Bruce and Batman's plight, and obviously other conversations where Bruce asks him, "Well, do you regret this life of servitude? Just doing the dishes, cleaning up after him?" He's like, "No, I love helping out heroes like you. I only regret that I wasn't able to be out there with you and join you in the quest." And that's if this movie has one famous line that's actually kind of good, it's "Not all heroes wear masks." So that's kind of a line we've seen repeated quite a bit. So that's from this movie, from the screenplay of Academy Award winner Akiva Goldsman. That's who brought us this movie. So I liked all that, and I actually really liked the smaller performance from John Glover playing Pamela Isley's, who would become Poison Ivy, her boss, the maniacal scientist. I think he was very fun. And I mean, like everyone in the movie, the whole cast has fun with the movie. You can kind of sense that they're well aware that they're delivering cheesy lines and all that. It's just it's bad. I mean, the thing is, what's so kind of unforgivably bad about this movie is that it's not even bad enough to be entertainingly bad, which I know a lot of people may disagree with. Like, a lot of people say, yeah, let's have a fun drinking game and take a shot every ice pun, or something like that. Or okay, fair enough, this is a ridiculously bad movie, but it is, for the most part, it is a competently made movie, competently acted movie, and it's not like Not like something like, I don't know, Troll 2, where it's like such a hilariously bad under budget kind of movie where like the actors don't even really understand the jokes that they're delivering. The actors, they deliver the jokes pretty expertly with good timing. It's just that they're stupid jokes. So I mean, what can you do? And I'll give Clooney credit for donning the cape and cowl for Batman this time around. Val Kilmer, I guess, didn't want to reprise his role, or there was maybe some disagreements with he and Schumacher over the direction, whatever the case may be. But George Clooney does a fair enough job in this particular material, where it doesn't really feel like a dual kind of natured kind of thing anymore. It just feels like the Adam West kind of role, which he's good at doing. And Chris O'Donnell's fine. I mean, he works with what he has to work with, and Schwarzenegger, he's always entertaining. I mean, he's larger than life in this role, delivering his stupid lines. And Uma Thurman, I mean, as Poison Ivy, she does deliver the material in a cheesy, but competently cheesy kind of way, where a lot of people, will credit her as kind of harnessing the attitudes of old time femme fatales and stuff like that. Um, so I mean, she's competent in the role, in what was expected of her and what was expected of the movie, and in being Poison Ivy, this beautiful, irresistible woman. I mean, she's beautiful and irresistible in this film. Uh, there's also Alicia Silverstone, who is in the movie as well. I mean, she's not a big part of it. Again, they kind of stray from the comics, where she's Alfred's niece instead of Commissioner Gordon's daughter, I guess. And uh, whatever, that's fine. She's fine, I guess. She delivers her 90s girl power kind of lines and stuff like that. This passive aggressive stuff is so out of date. Welcome to the 90s, girl, or whatever she says. It's so silly and stupid. And I mean, I guess I've gone. This is what, obviously, it's the fourth review I'm doing. I can't believe at this point I haven't mentioned Pat Hingle playing Commissioner Gordon, who's tying with Michael Goff with as many appearances as his character. Um, Pat Hingle is a great actor, a reliable and solid Commissioner Gordon. I think he's been in all the movies. But the thing is, I mean, he wasn't the character. I mean, he just wasn't a focus. He wasn't a priority of these movies. I mean, his largest role probably was in the first film, which wasn't that large to begin with, and Batman Returns, he has like maybe like two or three scenes really, and still kind of in the periphery of the Schumacher films. I think maybe the one standout scene he has here is where he confronts Pamela Isley at a crime scene. And she's trying to get the keys to the bat signal, and she puts that dust on him, the pheromone dust that makes men fall in love with her, and she's about to kiss him, and they're like, "Oh no, she's gonna kiss Commissioner Gordon and kill him," but she decides last minute to let him live. I mean, this series, it unfortunately didn't give Commissioner Gordon the juicy role that he deserved in these kinds of movies, but I would say that Pat Hingle, he does a really good job as the character, and he and Michael Goff were kind of the consistent, the reliable of these movies. They always returned. So there's that. So I mean, the whole cast, nothing really wrong with the cast. It's mainly in the writing and directing where this movie suffers so much. Basic plot of it, I mean, really, if there is any kind of plots whatsoever, the movie begins in a similar kind of way as Batman Forever does, in setting up the usual business status quo kind of thing of in the Batcave, the over the top shot zooming in on like bat butt and bat nipples and putting on the things and all the music, and then the Batmobile rises up, and then Robin's little motorcycle rises up. They go off to fight crime, and what is it this time? It's, oh, there's a new villain named Mr. Freeze. He's taken over the Gotham Museum, and he's stealing diamonds or whatever. And Mr. Freeze, of course, he has this super suit where it keeps his body at 0 degrees Celsius or Fahrenheit. I don't know. And he has his freeze ray gun and all that. And basically his MO with this movie is that he's trying to raise funding to continue his research to save his wife's life, who has McGregor syndrome, which is a vague fictional disease that Alfred happens to get in this film, which kind of drives the whole plot of the relationship between Alfred and Bruce. He's stealing all these diamonds, and the diamonds power his suit and all that. And this aspect of the character, if I'm not mistaken, this is something with having the wife with the tragic disease and him kind of being this tragic figure. It is something that came specifically from the Batman animated series, which I think credit to this aspect of the character goes to Paul Dini for bringing more dimension to the Mr. Freeze character than previously shown in any of his incarnations. And well, to say they dropped the ball on it, to say that it does a disservice to what we saw in the animated series rendition, to say that the animated series does it in a much more compelling way is an understatement, but at least it's there. So that's his whole MO. So he's not really that bad of a villain. He's just he's a little misguided. He holds a grudge against Gotham and all that, and Batman, and he's trying to save his wife. But meanwhile, we also have Poison Ivy. We have to do the villain team up with Uma Thurman, starting out in a similar way, I guess, as we saw in Batman Returns, as the meek assistant who gets killed by her boss and then resurrects as this femme fatale. So I mean, we have that, and she's basically, she looks like a human, but she's really kind of plant. I think her blood is aloe or some stupid thing like that, and of course her lips are poison, organic poison. So any time she would kiss someone, she'll kill them. And she wants to continue her research as well. She wants to basically bring back the world to a state where humanity doesn't exist and it's only plant life. Also working on experiments that would make plants kind of alive in their own ways and able to defend themselves. And she actually has some like little tiny plant and vine servants that help her around a little bit. Though I mean, they don't really explore that as entertainingly as they could have. But yeah, there's that. There's also Bane, who's her henchman in the movie, also created by this toxin that she's been experimenting with the plants, and that was kind of the whole evil deed of her boss, John Glover. And to say that they do a disservice to Bane is also an understatement, which is just a ridiculous bastardization of the character. Where in the comics he was this cunning and intelligent and very powerful villain who's the ultimate match for Batman, and he, the whole Nightfall storyline, and of course we saw what could be done with the character in the Nolan films and in The Dark Knight Rises. Here he's just basically a mute henchman. He's big, bulky, massive muscle, and he just grunts and maybe repeats one thing here or there, and he's defeated quite easily in the climactic action set piece of the movie. So he's kind of small potatoes. So a great disservice to the character, um, which is unfortunate. It's all unfortunate, I guess. It's all a disservice to all of the characters, I guess, and even a disservice to the previous movie, which I'll say I'll defend Batman Forever to my dying day. I think it's a fantastically entertaining movie, and it gets a bad rap, and I think unfairly so. This one I have no defense for, other than the fact that, I mean, at least in kind of dropping the ball so bad, and kind of making everyone lose interest in Batman for at least, a fair enough period of time, and showing audiences what they didn't want, and making it pretty clear that this was not what generally audiences interested in Batman want to see. It led to better things. So it led to the Nolan films, which of course are quite good. Really, really faithful to the spirit of Batman, I would say, and a lot of people would say that. So at least there's that. I mean, it led to better things. It had to destroy before it could build. So I mean, all things being equal, it ended up okay for old Batman and his cinematic adventures. But the movie it's just it's hard to get through. I mean, watching it again, I almost didn't get through the whole thing. I had to take a little bit of a break, stop it halfway through or so. I can't stand this because I mean it's not just a bad movie. As I was saying, it's not hilariously bad or anything like that. It's competent in its badness. So what that results in it's just kind of an uninteresting movie. It's not very entertaining. It's not very engaging. It's just kind of noise, and it's just a terrible misguided step. And I'll give uh, Joel Schumacher credit for taking the blame, and in a similar way of, you know, Batman, he takes the blame because he can take it, right? He can do it. He's a watchful protector of these talented people who are involved in the film. And recently, I mean, we lost him. Unfortunately, he passed away just this year, and it's quite a sad loss, because I mean he's people will always kind of cite his Batman films and associate him with the Batman films. But of course, he's had a very illustrious career and has made quite a few great movies, actually. And he was an immensely talented director. But I mean, people are always just going to have this common association with, oh, Schumacher, he ruined Batman. Well, I mean, whatever. I mean, he brought some entertainment to the character, and he made quite a few other very, very different movies in these were just like the big budget toy commercials that he makes. So I mean, you can give him a pass for that. So we miss you, Joel. Rest in peace. And this is where the original continuity ends with the first four Batman films. It's a roller coaster ride of a series. I mean, we start with a lot of promise, then we get to some really dark territory, and then we lighten things up a little bit, and then things go kind of just off the rails and goes into just wackiness all around. So it's quite the interesting series, but I mean it's a series that for the most part I really enjoy. I really enjoy the first three movies. The last one, Batman and Robin, I can take or leave. Maybe you have to be in the right mood for it. Even so, I mean, go with caution. I won't blame anybody for skipping this in a Batman marathon or anything like that. But hey, it led to better things. It is what it is, as they say, and we've seen plenty of Batman after this, so you can't keep Batman down. He'll always be in movies for better or worse. So that's an encouraging thought. That's my review, I guess. Batman and Robin, horrible piece of shit. What can I say? You don't need me to tell you. There's 100 million other reviews that can shit all over this movie more eloquently than I can, I guess. But yeah, that's it. Thanks very much for watching. Be sure to comment, rate, subscribe, all that good stuff. And until next time, I'll see you later. Everybody chill.